Let's turn to tonight's special report. It's a story that needs to be really front-paged and on prime-time headlines. Maharashtra's parched Marathwada region is witnessing one of the worst ever droughts in the country in recent times. Lakhs of residents in and around Latur district are now depending upon several hundred tankers bringing in water. People are getting water often only once in a month. No wonder water wars have erupted across the region. Pankaj Kherkar with tonight's ground report.
Long queues for water tankers in drought-hit Marathwada. War over water has become commonplace here with virtually no rains since last June. Maharashtra's sprawling Marathwada now entirely depends on tankers. During one such jostle, Nabnath, a 13-year-old boy, was crushed under the wheels of a tanker.
यासाठी भटकत फिरत होते. मग टँकर आल्यावर लेकरांनी थोडी धावपळ केली आणि पाणी भेटत नाही म्हणून त्यानं धावपळ करताना आणि त्याच्या ते गाडीमध्ये वर चढताना त्याचा पाय निसटला.
Despite imposition of prohibitive orders under Section 144, mad scramble for tankers puts thousands of Nabnaths at risk. As soon as the tankers arrive, hundreds of thirsty families seize the vehicle, climbing atop it just to take out 2 pots of water.
The drinking water problem in the city is worsening day by day. Civic administration has made 300 such borewells, but due to the scarcity, people have no option but stay awake throughout the night to fetch just 2 jars of water for every family.
Actually, the exact policy yet we have not decided about private tankers, but with the district administration we will decide the exact policy, and accordingly we will try to negotiate or try to rationalize the rates of the private tankers.
Meanwhile, 7 out of 11 reservoirs supplying water to the areas have gone completely dry. The massive water crunch has brought drinking water supply and irrigation to a standstill.
Terrible images coming there from Marathwada. What is the solution? I want to go to P. Sainath, Magsaysay Award winner, the country's leading authority on rural India. Thanks very much, Sainath, for joining us. The big question, of course, is this a man-made disaster or a natural one? After all, Marathwada has had now 4 droughts or 4 failed monsoons in the last 5 years. So have the drought-like conditions caused this water crisis, or is it simply poor management by the political and administrative class and flawed policies?
It's hard to deny that there is a natural element to it. But the disaster you're looking at in Maharashtra is man-made, it's policy-driven. What you're looking at just now, for instance, is not just a question of drought or meteorological failure. Even if you have a very good monsoon this year, your problems are not over. What you're looking at, Rajdeep, is the what I call the thirst economy, the scarcity economy. Billions and billions of rupees are being made out of that scarcity. On the other hand, that for the situation to have come to where it is, it took years and years of patterns of illogical, irrational and entirely irresponsible water use to bring the state to the crisis where it is today. So yes, while there may be a rainfall failure, the larger crisis is not just a drought, not just a meteorological failure. There are many kinds of drought. There's hydrological drought, there's agricultural drought. But policies have driven us tremendously to where we are. Have you, for instance, looked at NABARD's agricultural potential linked credit plan for the state? NABARD comes out with state focus reports. That is the National Bank for Agriculture and Rural Development. Believe it or not, the latest report allocates 51% of credit for agriculture to Mumbai and its suburbs. Now, what sort of agriculture do you have in this concrete jungle? You don't have contract farming, but you have farming of contracts, I guess. But that's how it is. Every policy initiative in the last, not just 3-4 years, but more than 10-15 years, has pushed some states and some regions to a greater and deeper crisis than before.
Would it be fair to say, Sainath, that the Devendra Fadnavis government, in a sense, has inherited this crisis? After all, the Congress NCP government has ruled Maharashtra for most of the last 2 decades and has reportedly spent 70,000 crores on irrigation in the last decade, but added just 0.1% in irrigated area.
Yes and no. I mean, both would. It would be entirely correct to say that the Congress NCP did unbelievable damage to the state's irrigation process. It would also be correct to say that no state has spent more on less irrigation. No state has spent more to create less irrigation. So, but if you go back to where I'm saying 15-20 years of the crisis, then you're looking at the fact that there have been BJP Sena governments, Congress governments, and again a BJP government. However, the bulk of that period comes under the Congress UPA rule, under the Congress governments and NCP governments. So the amount spent on irrigation, and still you end up with, among major states, the worst irrigation situation. Yes, you can say that he's inherited a disaster. You can also say that he is working very hard at intensifying and expanding that disaster. You know, a bunch of people who know nothing about the cattle economy, nothing about the rural economy, they come to power and take a decision on extending the beef ban in various ways. Now the cattle are very central to the farm economy in a number of ways that people like this can never understand. What's now happened is that, say, the cattle markets are a mess. Cattle prices have plummeted 30-40%, which is a huge sign of distress. The cattle markets are inoperative. Nobody is willing to sell or buy. No one is willing to buy cattle because they're going to have to look after them long after they're productive. Your Kolhapuri chappal industry, which was a great Make in India,
brand
miracle, long before Make in India came along as a slogan, is in the doldrums. You've taken decisions and made policies that have hurt agriculture all the way around. You can actually say that these successive governments each have added to the others' damage.
Can I come back to the water crisis for a moment again, because we are seeing these images, and I think it should shock everyone living in cities to hear that people actually are facing water wars and often getting water only once a month. What are the short-term solutions given that we have a hot and cruel summer ahead?
Yeah, see, there is a short-term measures. I won't call them a solution. Rajdeep, the inequality in your society reflects brilliantly in the inequality of water use in your home state of Maharashtra. In Maharashtra, as you know, 55% of the population is rural, 45% is urban. But urban Maharashtra gets, the cities and towns get 400% more water per capita, drinking water, than rural Maharashtrians. The entitlement officially, and that's not what people get, but the entitlement officially for Gramin Maharashtra per capita in drinking water or domestic consumption water, includes cooking, bathing, everything, is 40 to 70 liters per capita. In any other part of the world, anyone getting 70 liters or less, it's considered a crisis or anyway. That is the official entitlement. In urban Maharashtra, it's well over 130 liters per person, and in Mumbai, and in particular localities of Mumbai, which I don't have to name for you, it's over 300 liters per person. So you've got an absolutely unjust division of water. So three cities, right. three areas, 3 districts out of 36, Mumbai, Thane and Pune, get they get 53% of Maharashtra's drinking water, while something like 12 or 14 of your 36 districts get less than 1%. How do you handle this?
That's precisely it. If cities and towns are getting 400% more drinking water per capita than rural Maharashtra, what you are then saying an immediate step that the government can take is at least ensure a more equitable distribution of water, because the borewell economy is riddled with corruption. That is surely no solution.
The immediate step is to completely adjust the distribution, the justice in the distribution of water. The immediate step is to see that you're not using this water as we are so largely for lifestyle purposes. Maharashtra has got somewhere between 25 and 30 golf courses now. You've got buildings coming up with swimming pools on every floor. I kid you not. You can see that, you can see the advertisements for them anywhere you like. So you've got a very wrong kind of water usage. I'm talking now about domestic consumption. Water will come to irrigation. But you've got water used for the most incredible purposes. Your Lavasa is entitled to stock, officially authorized to stock 24.6 billion liters of water, or equivalent of 0.87 TMC as of 2013. So you're having water for entertainment, lifestyle purposes. You've got 24 entertainment sites and parks and theme parks in and around Mumbai and neighboring districts, even in places like Nagpur, which use billions of liters of water each year. You've completely got to crack down on that and see that you respect water, the right to water as a human right. You cannot privilege golf courses over people dying of thirst. Rajdeep, you are looking at the thirst economy.
Thirst economy, you cannot privilege golf courses over the long-term basic needs of rural Maharashtra or indeed any part of the country. But final question, what is the long-term solution? Because this is now a perennial problem, not just in Maharashtra, but across the country. We are facing what you are calling this thirst economy.
Rajdeep, long-term answers are obviously much bigger and more complex. Look at the kind of cropping pattern of Maharashtra. 2/3 of your sugarcane, which is a water guzzling crop, is grown in drought-prone areas. That's insane. Sugarcane, according to the government's website, takes about 180 per acre inches. That's about 18 million liters, per acre. Now, that you could do 12 acres of jowar in that much water. You really have to think about that. But you can't be growing roses in Pune and Baramati, which take even more water than sugarcane. You've got to start respecting the need for water for food crop. Maharashtra has seen a precipitous decline in food crop, especially in 2011-12. And every 3 years we keep shouting the greatest drought ever. You've got an economy based worth billions of rupees coming out of, say, drilling bore wells. The average 500-foot bore well costs a farmer about 1,50,000, and as you know very well, there have been many hundreds or thousands of borewell bankruptcies. Likewise with tanker water. These are significant money-making industries. You need to be able to have a plan about what you will do with your water resources, and that begins with respecting water as a human right, and then that food crop has privilege over cash crop. And then there are a number of other things, including the lifestyle ones, on which you can start immediately. But you also need to look at, say, implementing the main recommendations of the Swaminathan Commission report, the National Farmers Commission, which Mr. Sharad Pawar received those reports of a commission that he had set up. He received those reports by 2005 or 6, and from 2007 they've been lying without discussion in Parliament. It's not just Maharashtra that has this problem. Maharashtra always has a larger scale of problems than anyone else, with much greater corruption and more money involved. But several other states are nearing that kind of a crisis situation. You've got to implement the main recommendations of the Swaminathan Commission report. You've got to start looking at your water policies and your use of natural resources very differently as from the way we now do.
P. Sainath, it's been wonderful talking to you. I know that we don't cover agriculture often enough on primetime television in this country. We need to do much more, and I think you put it well. Water must become a human right in this country. Those images today are truly shocking, and I hope many of our urban viewers who live lifestyles which consume a lot of water think about those farmers and villagers in Maharashtra and indeed across the country who are thirsting.
Obviously, we can, focus on the positive things that we did there against Australia.
We've got a very different team to those games that we played. We went through quite a few players throughout those 3 games.